Alright, so here's a quick one for you guys for farming um, the GM Heist Mars Battlegrounds. By the time this video gets out, it won't be of much use to you because we'll already be into the Light Blade, which I will do a video for. I'll try to get it out before the last minute. But Mars will come around again in rotation for GMs before the season's over. So you can definitely use this build. Even if Void isn't surging by the time Mars is in rotation again, Nightstalker is going to be an invaluable subclass build to use for Mars, and actually for any battlegrounds. I find that Nightstalker is just super strong. Many of you, especially Hunter mains out there, are probably, this is not going to be anything new to you guys. Omnioculus is just super strong for team support and invisibility. Not only do you get damage resistance from making your teammates invisible, the more teammates you make invisible, I think the higher damage resistance you get, and you get melee energy back for making your teammates invisible. And then if you can, and on top of that, you get 2 smoke bombs. So you have 2 smoke bombs. You've got Gambler's Dodge. You've got Vanishing Step, and then obviously Trapper's Ambush, so that you can use those smoke bombs to dive bomb, go invis for a longer duration than just throwing your smoke bomb. But yeah, you definitely need Trapper's Ambush and ideally Vanishing Step, so that way you can primarily use your smoke bombs, your Trapper's Ambush, to go invis, and then you only really use your Vanishing Step, Gambler's Dodge when you're low on smoke bombs. Like if you're waiting on your smoke bombs to get back, that's when you use your Vanishing Step. But generally your Trapper's Ambush is your more powerful invisibility ability, because not only is it going to support your teammates, make all your teammates invisible, make you invisible for longer, but it's also going to apply a weakening debuff to all enemies that are nearby. So you can use it, in a variety of ways. So, and then I'm running Mobius Quiver instead of Deadfall, because this is going to allow you to essentially nuke champions, and when you are in the boss room, there's going to be an unstoppable and a barrier, and if you're the only Nightstalker, chances are you're going to be the one that's on the ground face to face with the champions and the enemies, and your teammates are probably going to be up in the towers cheesing it, which is fine. That's your role as a Nightstalker, is to be out there getting those orbs and dunking them. So if you come across the barrier or the unstoppable, you can get a stun off, and then you can just hit them with both shots of your super and just nuke the champ, so that you can get straight back to invisibility and survive. Aspects and fragments here are the same as I would use on my Gerfalcons build. I did a few runs with Gerfalcons, and Gerfalcons is fine, but you really need to, it's a little bit riskier being on the ground in the boss room with Stylish Executioner and Vanishing Step and no Trapper's Ambush. It just means that, like, if you're running an LMG, you just have to pay attention to enemies that you can kill quickly with Vault around, so that you can go back to invis, or relying on enemies that are finishable, right? So you have to pay. So you can do it with your Falcons. You just have to pay more attention to the ads that you can, because you have to harvest invis off of the ads. Whereas with this build, you can just solely rely on invisibility from yourself and your 2 aspects and your ability recharge. Like, you don't even have to worry. If you wanted to, you could literally play this whole strike while just being invisible. and not killing anything. That's how strong Omnioculus is. Gerfalcon's is more of an aggressive playstyle, and because of that, there's a little bit more risk involved. But I actually use the same fragments. Echo Persistence is just definitely key, even though it hurts your mobility stat. You get longer durations for invis, which is the main factor here. Also Devour, and I am using Echo of Starvation. Not because I really want to throw a lot of grenades or anything like that. It's just more of a nice benefit. If I do get Devour going, then I get heals on every kill. Full heals, which is invaluable. And because I'm already using Persistence anyways, I'm like double dipping into this fragment with Invis Devour, so that's good. It's efficient. Not only that, but picking up an orb for Devour, I've said this before, it's like having 3 copies of Recuperation on your legs. It means you don't have to run Recuperation or Better Already or any orbs to give you health, because picking up the orb will literally restore your health and start the Devour timer. So it's just great for that. Then Undermining for my grenades, just to debuff targets, that again, invaluable. Pretty much run this on every single Void build, even though it's -20 to Discipline. So good. Echo Obscurity, that way, like, if I am waiting on a dodge, or I am waiting on my smoke bomb, or if I'm waiting on both at the same time, I should say, then I can look for those little circles above enemies' heads and just finish whatever I can, and then that way I can secure more invis while I wait for my abilities to regen. So not bad. Also, the +10 recovery cancels out the -10 recovery from Devour, from Echo of Starvation, which is kind of nice because I'm running very low recovery. Tier 2 recovery, Tier 1 recovery would feel a little bit bad. Tier 2 still doesn't feel great, but because I can be invisible all the time and get damage resistance from Omnioculus, it's really not that big of a deal. I could wait out my recovery while being invisible, so that's fine. Weapons I'm using here, Wish Ender, it's just, if you are going to farm, yeah, it gets boring watching people play with Wish Ender. I did a poll a few weeks ago asking how people feel about watching Wish Ender gameplay on YouTube, and overwhelming majority of you said it's boring, don't really like watching it. But listen, I'm farming. I want to get as many bows as I can. This is one of the hardest, longest, most tedious GMs, and in my opinion, the least enjoyable this season, other than maybe Devil's Lair. So I just want to get it over with, and Wish Ender it's a good exotic to use for breaking barriers. We all know this, and generating super energy and all that. And then fusion rifle for chunking away at the Yellow Bar Knights. They are all arc shielded knights. There are many of them. So a fusion rifle is just a really good way to take care of the arc shielded knights, especially in the boss room, because they're the ones that will drop the orbs for you to go and dunk. So I would highly suggest an arc special weapon that can take care of yellow bar arc shielded enemies quickly. Not only that, but fusions are overcharged, so even though the weekly surge is void and strand and not arc, fusions are overcharged from the artifact, from being an unstoppable weapon, which means they're doing 25% more damage. Even if it's arc, it's doing 25% more, so it's benefiting from overcharges. Then the rocket launcher, in the gameplay that you're going to see, I'm using Hothead with auto-loading and explosive. This is kind of like my go-to GM Hothead. Not for DPS on bosses. It's just pull it out whenever I need to do like some quick burst damage with explosive light. you know, and then put it away. Super good. Auto loading is just super good for GMs, killing champs, stuff like that. The only downside to using Hothead is that it is not benefiting from any overcharges. So because it's not Void, it's not Strand, rocket launchers aren't overcharged. It's therefore doing 25% less damage than other overcharged weapons. So I did a second run after this, which you're not going to see me using my Braid Tech, but believe it or not, this Braid Tech Osprey, which is also a Nightfall weapon, even though it does, I think, 10% less damage than aggressive and adaptive frame rocket launchers, such as Hothead, it's a worse frame, so it's doing less damage, but it is Void. So it's doing 25% more damage just for being Void for matching the Surge. Also, Bipod got a buff this season. So now instead of doing like 40% less damage than normal rockets, it does 25% less damage. But when you have two, like Bipod gives you more rockets, and it gives you two in the mag at a time, so you can always shoot two, kind of like having Clown cartridge. And I don't know why I didn't really think of it. I should have just ran Envious Assassin. But either one of these perks is really good. If you run Envious, it means you could probably dump like 5 rockets without reloading. But mostly I'm just like I was talking about with Hothead, auto-loading holster is just nice. You can just pull it out for some quick burst damage, put it away. It's economical on ammo because you're using it sparingly just for quick bursts. So you can go either way, but if I do this again, I'm probably going to try out Envious, see how reliable it is. But I don't necessarily want to dump 5 rockets all at once because I want to conserve some ammo. But yeah, this was doing quite a bit more damage than Hothead because of the matching surges, even if it's a lesser than ideal frame. So yeah, Bipod definitely has a place in Nightfalls, which is where I anticipated that it would get the most use. Even though I think you could do, like with Bipod on Apex Predator, I think you can do, or Cold Comfort, you can do more total damage than like Explosive Light and Bait and Switch. It's still not as good damage per second. So depending on the scenario for damage versus a raid boss or dungeon boss, Bipod has a place, but it's more situational. But my mind with Bipod was that this could be really good for Nightfall's weekly campaign missions and just for generally killing like champions, majors, yellow bars, orange bars, stuff like that, shield breaking. And yeah, it honestly felt really good using Braid Tech Osprey, better than Hothead. Just pull it out, shoot 2 rockets immediately at a champion, it just does a lot of damage. So, very good. Not only that, but we don't have, like, you can use Semiotician, the Strand rocket launcher from the season, which I believe is also a high impact. That also has Bipod, but it doesn't have a reload perk, I don't believe. I can't remember. So you could use the Strand one as well. But I'm actually using Monochromatic Maestro, so being mindful of that. Not only is the Void Surge on the rocket launcher doing 25% more damage, but I'm getting another 10 or 15% on top of that from Monochromatic Maestro as long as I use a Void ability on the target. So yeah, I'm stacking Mono with Void Surge. Yeah, really good for nuking champs. Give it a shot. But yeah, you're going to see a Hothead in this red, and this, did the job just fine, but Braid Tech is definitely better in this situation. Then, as far as the mods go, I'm running kinetic siphon, kinetic targeting because I'm using Wish Ender pretty much all the time. So that's just going to help out with that. Make orbs, land more shots, better aim down sight speed, better reload speed, so I can shoot more arrows. Focusing strike, definitely use that so that you can get your vanishing step back faster while you're using your trapper's ambush. And then bolstering detonation, you can if you can fit in like font of vigor or font of focus here to just bump up your strength or your discipline, you could do that. Tier 7 strength is good enough because, like I said, you got 2 smoke grenades and you have gambler's dodge. So if you have no smoke grenades, you don't have to rely on your strength stats. You can just dodge near an enemy and then you have both of your charges back without having to wait. So you don't need to run tier 10 strength. I am running tier 10 mobility with font of agility. So as long as I have armor charge, which I'm getting armor charge just from landing shots with my bow because of the seasonal artifact mod. I think it's semi-auto striker or something like that, which works well with rapid fire ranger for debuffing targets. But yeah, easy armor charge. So font of agility uptime is pretty consistent, along with kinetic weapon surge. But if you wanted to, you can run kinetic and void to match your rocket launcher. Resists arc, solar. There's a lot of arc damage from the wizards, etc. It's a hive mission, so pretty typical here with concussive. Time dilation for 15 seconds more per armor charge. Powerful attraction to scoop up orbs. Bomber. But yeah, I would probably swap bolstering detonation out for impact induction, just so I can get more grenades. Like when I don't have devour, my discipline stat is tier 6, which isn't bad, which is fine if you have constant uptime on devour. Not really much of a difference between tier 6 and tier 10 with devour. But if I don't have devour, then yeah, it definitely feels a little bit slower getting those grenades. So it would be helpful because of the amount of times that I was actually using my trapper's ambush, and usually near enemies, so doing damage to enemies. I was doing it all the time. So I just felt like I would have had more grenades if I had used impact induction. That would have been more valuable than bolstering detonation, I think. But yeah, that's pretty much the build, so I'll leave you to the video. Yeah, let me know what you think. What exotic did you use on your Nightstalker build for this GM? Is it Trafalcons, Omni, Graviton? I think Graviton might be the meta for solo GM clears. But if you're in a team, Omni Oculus is definitely going to be your best friend for just being that person on the ground, allowing your teammates to stand up in the towers and cheese the final boss room while you just go around. And mind you, even though you're on the ground, you're pretty much cheesing it too by using this build, because you can just literally be invisible all the time, dunking all the orbs. Yeah, and so yeah, it's definitely a bit cheesy, but at least you're building into it. It's a little bit more interesting than just standing up in the tower waiting, twiddling your thumbs. So yeah, anyways, let me know what you guys think. Hopefully this helps you out in 6 weeks time when this Nightfall is up again. But keep in mind, for pretty much all the Battlegrounds, Invis Hunter is going to be one of the strongest subclasses to use. That alongside of a well, like I feel like if your fire team is all wells or Invis Hunters, you'll get these hardest Nightfalls done easily. Even when it's not Void or Solar Surge, just because of the potency of the subclass. Yeah. As far as the loot that I got, Here's the 4 bows. Unfortunately, I didn't get any of the rolls that I wanted. Came close here with a shoot to loot and draw time, but no explosive, no incandescent. A little bit unfortunate, but in 6 weeks' time, when this Nightfall comes back around, my Vanguard rank will probably be a little bit higher. So I actually, do you get more perk options on adept weapons when your Vanguard rep is prestiged multiple times? I don't know. I don't think so. That might just be for Vanguard weapons. This one here might not be bad. Archer's Tempo, Collective Action, Precision Instrument. This one could be interesting as well. Enlightened Action with successful warm-up. So I have to see what the draw time would go down to with this. 648, and then with these two going at the same time, this could be pretty good DPS, but I still just generally prefer explosive payload because it's like unlimited range, plus area of effect. You can hit enemies behind cover. This one here is decent. I do jump shot a lot with bows. So perfect float could be useful for jump shotting maybe. I haven't really tested it, to be honest, but I did test out perpetual motion just in the Enclave, just moving around, and it feels very good. Perpetual motion, the handling, the reload for knocking your arrows, like you knock arrows faster with reload speed on bows. And think of it, every shot you have to reload. Right. So this could be useful as well, but nothing that I'm super into. Anyways, what'd you guys get? Anything good? Let me know. Gameplay's going to be next. Enjoy. I will see you in the next one. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. May as well go over the modifiers here. For the GM, Solar Threat is active, so I didn't pay attention to it, to be honest, but I was running Solar Threat anyways, or Solar Resistance. Overcharged weapons, Strand, Void, so we'll see what happens in 6 weeks, what these 2 surges will be. That could change things up along with the weapon, but it is overcharged machine gun as well, so you could use like an arc machine gun to take care of all the arc shielded knights. So I could have used like Song of Your Ute, but I wanted more of like a quick burst damage heavy weapon, which is why I was using Hothead and Braytech Osprey. So anyways,
you're in the thick, Guardian. Hive taken. Pretty sure they know you're coming now.
Then there's no time to waste.
Guardian, I need those cleared so I can tap into the network. laser core for the gun. Moving back to a holding pattern. Good luck.
To open up the counters again. Perimeter towers ahead are back online and reading you as hostile. Mind your steps. Perimeter towers in range. Stay hidden, Guardian.
Hang on, G2. We're in for some chop. Back to a holding pattern. Good luck. Switching up their strategy. What's that saying you used to like, Elsie? If at first you don't succeed, try again.
Spot on. Though